President Trump has just announced on Fox News that the suspected gunman who shot the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, killing him, has been caught. Trump said, quote, "I think with a high degree of certainty we have him in custody," unquote. Trump's comments came a day after the FBI announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. Officials also released photos and video of the suspected gunman who shot Kirk during an outdoor event at Utah Valley University. A bolt-action rifle was also recovered in a wooded area near the campus. In one video, the suspected gunman is seen jumping from a roof on campus and running away. On Thursday, President Trump said he'll honor Charlie Kirk with a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Trump also escalated his attacks on the political left, saying, quote, "We just have to beat the hell out of them."
We have a great country. We have radical left lunatics out there, and we just have to beat the hell out of them.
On the floor of the House, Republican Representative Bob Onder of Missouri described the political left as, quote, "pure evil."
Well, everything has changed. If we didn't know it already, there is no longer any middle ground. Some of the American left are undoubtedly well-meaning people, but their ideology is pure evil. They hate the good, the truth, and the beautiful, and embrace the evil, the false, and the ugly.
This call comes as some lawmakers, including Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are canceling or postponing public events out of safety concerns. To talk about all of this and more, we're joined by Mehdi Hasan, editor-in-chief and CEO of Zeteo, where his new piece is headlined, "Hypocritical Conservatives Are Using Charlie Kirk's Horrific Murder to Cynically Smear the Left." Mehdi, welcome back to Democracy Now! Why don't you lay out what you're seeing in these last few days as we talk about this breaking news that the suspected gunman has been caught?
Thanks, Amy, for having me. The problem with this administration, of course, is you can't trust anything they say. Kash Patel put out multiple statements over the last 48 hours suggesting that somebody's been caught, somebody's in custody. They leaked to the Wall Street Journal that there was trans ideology on the weapon and then walked it back. We have an administration of gaslighters and serial liars. So unfortunately, in the old days, even if a president lied, you could try and take the bureaucracy or the law enforcement people, maybe sometimes that they were. Now you have to start from a position of pure skepticism. So I don't believe anything Trump says until I see more verification. I do hope they've caught the person. The problem is, Amy, that from the moment Charlie Kirk was horrifically murdered on camera, a horrific act, inexcusable act on Wednesday in Utah. From the moment that happened, Republicans, conservatives, prominent figures in this country on the right went to work to blame this on the left, even though the killer was not in custody. Apparently is now. Let's see the alleged killer. No killer in custody, no motive. And yet, for the last 36, 48 hours, we've been told again and again that the left did this. The left killed Kirk. The left has blood on its hands. And I wrote that piece for Zeteo because I was deeply frustrated at what I was seeing. It's not just frustrating, it's dangerous, right? Your response to a political assassination, to political violence, cannot be to ratchet up more political violence, more dehumanization and demonization. And the reality is, of course, as I say, we don't know the motive of the killer. Let's say the killer turns out to be someone on the left. Even then, that doesn't mean the right is somehow scot-free here, and that's why I wrote my piece pointing out that the vast majority of right-wing political violence in this country comes from Trump supporters, comes from people on the far right, comes from all sorts of people who have horrific views about minorities and white supremacists. And I laid down the evidence in my piece, for example, this summer. Just a few weeks ago, I know the right-wingers have been erasing her killing, but Melissa Hortman, the Speaker Emerita of the Minnesota House, was murdered in her home with her husband. Another lawmaker was shot and almost killed with his partner. That was done by a Trump supporter this summer. Trump didn't even bother to show up at the funeral. No one mentions Melissa Hortman's death on the right when they're talking about political violence. We've erased January 6th. We've erased the attack on Josh Shapiro's home earlier this year. We've erased multiple attacks over the years that have been attributed to, or that the suspect turned out to be some kind of Trump supporter. And I think that is why I wrote that piece, because there's a real rewriting of history going on here. It's what far-right regimes do after, tragedies like this. They try and weaponize them to go after their enemies. And Trump's made that very clear in all his statements. The radical left, This is a guy who has incited violence himself, including on January the 6th.
I wanted to turn to Hunter Kozak. He's the Utah Valley University student who posed a question to Charlie Kirk about gun violence just before Kirk was shot and killed.
5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
On Thursday, that young man, he was 29 years old, Hunter Kozak, the Utah Valley University, I think he was a student, posted his message response to what happened after he asked the question.
And people have obviously pointed to the irony that the point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. And as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but like, man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that?
That's Hunter Kozak, who posed the question. He started by asking about how many trans mass shooters Charlie Kirk thought they were, and then talked about that percentage as a number of mass shooters in this country. But as he says, was horrified, as here is Charlie Kirk answering a question about gun violence, then is shot dead. Your response to this young man who's in a lot of pain, he said, in fact, though he disagrees with almost everything, is known for opposing Charlie Kirk, himself a TikToker. His wife just gave birth to their second child. He sees their families, both of them having 2 children. And he said, but I'm absolutely against violence and for his freedom of expression.
Amy, we all are. I mean, 99% of people in this country, I hope, are against politically motivated murders. I mean, it's horrific. What happened to Charlie Kirk is horrific on a human level, on a political level, on multiple levels. And, people are going around saying, well, he didn't believe in empathy, so I don't care. Well, just the fact that he didn't believe in empathy is irrelevant. I believe in empathy. Most of us should have empathy, and I do have empathy for his wife and kids. 2 kids are going to grow up without their father. The fact that their father had vile political views that I disagree with, the fact that their father said I should be deported from the US is irrelevant. All right, you don't kill people for their speech, ever. And that young man gave a very eloquent statement there. The irony of him being killed after taking a question on gun violence and trying to make it about gangs. I mean, Amy, right now, everything in American politics just feels bizarre and ironic and unprecedented. If you sat in a Netflix TV writer's room and said, hey, this is the script for a political drama about politics in the United States, and it was the script of the last 5 or 10 years, the TV writers would throw you out of the room and say, this is ridiculous. We can't make this TV show. This is so unrealistic. The plot twists, the turns. But that's our daily life right now. I mean, we're all going crazy seeing what happens on a daily basis. It's beyond anything we see on TV or in the movies these days. And I worry that everything's going to get worse. I was on the BBC just a couple nights back, and the question they asked was, is America going to come together after this? That's what other countries are wondering. That's what would happen in most normal countries after a tragedy like this. Unfortunately, the US is not a normal country right now. And I suspect not only are we not going to come together, we're going to go further apart, because the president is someone who takes this opportunity to incite more. I mean, everything Donald Trump has said since this murder has been unhelpful at best, dangerous and destructive at worst. He's not the right leader whenever there's a tragedy, whenever there is a murder or a terrorist attack. That's always been one of my great criticisms of Trump. I have many, but he's not the right person to lead a nation when there is a tragedy or a crisis.
Mehdi, in 2023, Charlie Kirk called for you to be deported over your views on the COVID-19 pandemic while you were working at MSNBC. I just wanted to play a clip from the Charlie Kirk show.
So we need to reassert what the actual truth of the matter is, especially if we are to be prepared for the next pandemic when it inevitably comes.
Wow, who is that neurotic lunatic? Who is that guy? Send him back to the country he came from. Holy cow. Get him off TV. Revoke his visa.
So that was Charlie Kirk. And again, the horror of his murder right now. Your response then, Mehdi, and as you reflect on this now?
Yeah, I responded at the time pointing out how racist that statement was. Charlie Kirk was very anti-immigrant. He was very anti-Muslim. People forget this stuff. But again, you know, I've spent the last 48 hours condemning his killing. I've found that posts celebrating his death, very few of them. I know the Republicans are trying to exaggerate. There are deaths. There are obviously posts online celebrating his death. I found them distasteful, inappropriate. It's not something I would do. And yet I think to myself, had I been the one shot in the neck and passing away, I wonder what Kirk would have said about me. This is the reality of where we live. I mean, we're in this weird situation, Amy, now where some liberals are going to another extreme, which is we should all condemn the killing of Charlie Kirk, but we don't need to participate in the whitewashing of his record or the kind of this suggestion that he is some kind of free speech martyr. He was not a supporter of free speech. You just saw that clip. I said something on MSNBC he did not like, I, an American citizen. He said I should be deported from the United States. Is that someone who sounds like they support free speech? He was super anti-Muslim. Just a couple of days ago, he was posting about Islam being the sword with which the left slits the throat of America. He called Muslims conquerors, invaders. His rhetoric was horrific. He put targets on people's backs. But again, I don't measure my own views or my own responses to tragedies by the standard set by Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump or anyone else. The fact that he may have, had a more gleeful response to my death than I do to his is irrelevant. As I say, none of us should celebrate the death of a human being. None of us should celebrate political violence because it's a threat to all of us and to this country. And I think it's interesting that so many people are now trying to suggest that this guy, I've seen people saying, oh, he never did anything. He just went and had good faith debates with college students. Just not true. He supported the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, a green card legal resident who was punished for his speech, nothing else, by the Trump administration. So look, even us having this conversation, Amy, will be clipped somewhere by a Republican and say, look, they're celebrating his death. They're criticizing him. No, criticizing someone's views is not celebrating the death. We can do two things at once. We can walk and chew gum. We can say it's absolutely outrageous that Charlie Kirk was murdered for his views, and we have absolute empathy for his wife and kids and friends and family. But we can also say those views were horrific. We're not going to suddenly say because he was murdered, his views are somehow good. No, bad people can be unjustly murdered. Bad people can be innocent when it comes to being killed, because even bad people shouldn't be killed for their views.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.